Who's that Pokemon? It's Sobble! Hey everyone, how you doing today? This is your friendly neighborhood Damien Castaway, and today I wanted to discuss, the previous generations of Pokemon, what they brought to the table, what I liked and disliked about them, and this is all leading to the road to Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I'll be going over every region in order in their own little video, and today I wanted to focus on the Kanto region, or Kanto, depending on who you speak to. Now, of course, you can't talk about the Kanto region without first discussing its geography and how unique it is. So you start here in Pallet Town, this little town right down here, you make your way up, through Viridian Forest, and there's your first gym badge. The very interesting thing is A, you have the final gym right here, and B, there's the Pokemon League. You walk right by it on your way to the first gym. The Pokemon League normally isn't until the end of your journey, but you actually get to go there early, and when you have a Battle of Blue there, right before you continue on your journey. So here's where you get your first badge from Brock. You have to go all the way up through here, through Mount Moon, down again into Cerulean City. So you're walking about halfway across the region before you reach even your second badge up here in Cerulean City. And even before then, you have to go up the Gold Bridge, fight a bunch of random trainers and the Team Rocket member at the end, go all the way up here, meet Bill, come all the way back down, back to Cerulean City, and then you can challenge the gym leader. And let me tell you, Misty's no pushover, that freaking Starmie. I have PTSD from it. Like, I struggled more with that Starmie than I did with Whitney's Milk Tank. In fact, I swept that thing, no problem. So next you'll end up down here in Vermilion City, and I want to point out that every city in the Kanto region is named after a color except for Pallet Town. So you have the Indigo Plateau, Pewter City, Cerulean, Vermilion. They're all different colors. Anyway, here in Vermilion City, you will face Lieutenant Surge, who has a Raichu. If you were playing Special Pikachu Edition, that thing was a pain. Mainly because you were like honor-bound to fight it with just your Pikachu, like you had to prove something to him. Alright, so from Vermilion, you enter Diglett Cave, head way back up here, into Lavender Town, get the Poke Flute, and then you can do either of these three gyms in any order, I believe, but most people do Saffron last. So you have Poison, Grass, and then Psychic, and then you end up going way down here, challenge Blaine, back up into Pallet Town, you then head back to, back up into Viridian, then you face the final gym leader, we'll get into them later, and then you go into the Pokemon League, and then you face the Elite Four. So basically Kanto is just a big circle. That's essentially how this works, and then once you beat the Elite Four, you can go back to Cerulean City, into Cerulean Cave, and you can face Mewtwo. However, even before fighting the Elite Four, you can still find Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno, with Moltres being in Victory Road, Articuno being in the Seafoam Islands, and Zapdos being in the Power Plant. Zapdos and Moltres being the only two I've found. I couldn't find Articuno because I was a kid. Because, fun fact, while I don't have the nostalgia goggles for Kanto, because it's not my favorite region by a long shot, it was still my first generation I got to play. What a nice way to segue. Now that we know the map, why don't I talk about what I like and don't like about the Kanto region. There's quite a few things on each side of the scale, so I'll do this as quick as I can. The next thing I actually kind of like is the way things are laid out. So you have this huge loop you go through, sort of. You actually go south a bit through the Vermilion Tunnel, and go through Diglett Cave all the way back up here, but it's just a giant loop if you really want to stop and look at it. There is another twist that Kanto has that I actually really like, and that's with their final gym leader also being the leader of a crime syndicate, using that as a cover for their organization. That's important because Giovanni and Team Rocket are a pretty substantial driving force to the story of the Kanto region, and the whole reason we face any kind of resistance in our journey at all. And then there's the final boss, stepping between us and our last gym badge before we can go take on the Pokemon League. But the problem lies with Team Rocket. As much as they enhance the story and give us an objective to work towards, stopping them, they're evil, obviously, their motives in comparison to later villains fall a bit flat, and it falls into Kanto's, whatever's simplicity. The reason why people have such nostalgia for Kanto is because of its simplicity. It's a time when things weren't overcomplicated. But the problem is it's too simple, it's too bare bones, it's the basic experience you got when Game Freak was experimenting with these games. Psst, please do remember Kanto's biggest weakness for me is that it's the building blocks. It's meant to be built upon, and Pokemon did just that. But when you strip everything Pokemon built away, even all of the bad, Kanto just doesn't really compare anymore because there's no life to it in comparison. However, as simple as it is, Kanto is still one of the larger regions. It has a lot of ground to be covered. But one of the coup de grace things about the Kanto region is just the lines some of the wild trainers spout, like, "I like shorts. They're comfortable and easy to wear." Then they attack you with Rattata and all bets are off, you're screwed. But here's the problem. I don't like the 151 original Pokemon, except maybe Ditto and Mew. I don't like the design. I just don't. There's just nothing appealing to me here because this is the early days of Pokemon. Everything's basic. Everything is very bare bones. They just made 151 Pokemon for the first adventure. And it would build on these later, and the designs got more and more intricate as the generations went on. Even comparing the legendaries of the first and second generation, it's night and day. Mewtwo is a bunch of basic round shapes, whereas Ho-Oh is a complicated and intricate design full of color and life, whereas Mewtwo is just this really sickly gray. And I get it, Mewtwo is manufactured, it's not an actual Pokemon per se, even though it is. It's complicated, it's a gray area, like Mewtwo. But the fact of the matter is, this is still a Pokemon that had to be designed, and it's just a very simplistic and basic design. Now, of course, bear in mind, this is just my opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. Let me know what your opinion is. I would love to hear it. Just don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me. Especially you, Meteor Mash. I'm onto you. And Kanto still had a bunch of really cool explorable areas, like Mount Moon, the power plant. Some of these you weren't even forced to go to, you actually had to explore to find, and that's something not many Pokemon games are doing nowadays, because you're just streamlined into finding all the legendaries and all the mythicals, or they just give them to you in a Pokemon Center. What's with that? So, all in all, in the grand scheme of things, Kanto definitely gets at least a 7 out of 10 from me. At least. But it's no more than a 9 out of 10, because it does still have its problems. It's still a simplistic region that doesn't really have a lot going for it anymore. We've kind of outgrown it at this point. And the Pokemon Company just keeps throwing it at us again and again and again, and keeps giving Kanto more and more and more love, whereas Generation 2, Generation 4, they're not getting any love anymore. I mean, Generation 2 got the remake, sure, but after that, it hasn't really been touched. And that's a shame, because Kanto still got its love in Generation 2 when you got to go back to Kanto and fight all the gym leaders again. And then go back and fight the Elite Four again with even more badges than you had before, so you can go challenge Red. So even in Gen 2, Gen 1 still got pandered. But at the end of the day, you have to stop and you have to look at it for what it is. Generation 1 is the thing that started it all. Without Kanto, we wouldn't have Sinnoh, we wouldn't have Galar, we wouldn't have Alola, we would just have nothing. And you have to be able to appreciate that. So yes, while Game Freak is just constantly throwing Kanto at us, whether it be Alolan form Kanto Pokemon or anything like that, whether it's mostly Kanto Pokemon to get Megas, you have to be able to stop and appreciate what Kanto did for us, because without this generation, we wouldn't have Gens 2 through 8. And at the end of the day, that's enough to make Kanto good in my books. So thank you everyone for watching. I always appreciate your viewership. If you enjoyed this video, which you probably didn't because I was kind of harsh, but leave a like on this video. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for more of my content every week. I post 2 to 3 times a week if I can help it. And I hope to see all you beautiful people in the next video. Bye!